we have an in-depth question to explore. And our topic today is getting a return on your investment. So I know that a lot of people have a love to learn. So welcome to class. This is definitely a content-driven class for you. And so we're going to work on looking at unlocking your ROI when it comes to your learning. So today we're going to cover and do a deep dive into why do you continually learn in the first place? We're going to go through the learn, earn cycle, and I'm going to give you the number one strategy and tip that I use personally to turn your learning into earning. So there is a resource that you can get after this training. So if you are interested in watching the replay or you're here live, you can just type in ROI in the chat and we will get that resource to you by the end of the day. If you are watching the replay, hit replay. Love to see you. So welcome to class. So first of all, let's uncover why do you learn? If we want to understand, we want to turn our learning into earning, and we want to get an ROI in our investments that we're putting in and a time and dedication, we want to know why or what drives drives us to learn in the first place. Everyone has very different reasons of why they want to learn, and learning is definitely not innate to a lot of people. That you may think that everyone learns, but they actually don't. That not everyone has a value of learning, and it's more than just now figuring out why do you have a value. It's why do you have a value of learning? That's what we want to uncover or discover. And so, of all the clients I've worked with over the years, people have different reasons. And so maybe it is because they want to acquire knowledge just for acquiring the sake of knowledge, for the knowledge itself. Some people love that evolution and transformation. That's definitely me. I love the new evolution of who I'm becoming and who I become. I love that kind of like a cat with 9 lives, and my 9 lives are so interesting. And so you have to, is it the exploring of ideas? Is it finding a new perspective? Is it friends? Is that why? Because you just like hanging out with friends and it's really a social thing of why you like learning. Maybe it's a business networking experience of why you like learning. But what we want to do is dig deeper into why and ask that question, like, why do I want to learn? And then when we do, we can better bridge or link the learning with the ROI together, or our learning and earning together. So we also want to have a look at there's different types of learners out there. So let's also be able to appreciate that there are different style or the different reasons why people learn. And so we might have the reason why we just want to create opportunities. And that's an element of learning of why we go into wanting to learn in the first place. Some people want to learn because and maybe you feel this and maybe you don't, maybe you connect with it, maybe you don't, but maybe it's to alleviate some level of feeling of not good enough, not smart enough, not insecure about what you know or your career path. And so then that dynamic is, I'm thinking of a particular client who just felt like not smart enough, and so just continually consuming so much information as almost like a pathway to trying to change that perception of themselves to like feel more intelligent. And so, and then some people, another client springs to mind in terms of them being able to, it's more of a distraction. And so it's the reason why they go into learning is more because they're trying to distract themselves from a relationship that isn't going very well. And so putting a lot of time, they're not working, learning so that they can avoid that dynamic. And then some people learn because it's really trying to develop a sense of self. And so especially when you're in the personal development world, and that if there's a kind of really struggling with who you are and your place in the world and who you're supposed to serve and where you're going. So there can be this really like a deep sense of learning to discover and self-exploration of discovering who you are. So think about that. Why do you learn? So as you think about that, I'd love to hear in the chat what makes you learn. And then when we uncover why we want to learn, it can understand maybe some of the intangible ROIs that we might get from our learning. So for example, if you love that like evolution of self-growth, then your ROI could be in the form of maybe insights and realization, or a feeling of self-fulfillment, and so, or increased awareness. And so that result is you're getting an ROI, but it's just an intangible. It's not a monetary ROI, it's an intangible ROI. Let's say, for example, it's you then feel like you're not smart enough, and that's that, you know, feeling unworthy in some way, shape, or form. Then learning pathway helps to shift that dynamic, makes you feel like you're gaining more, maybe mastery, and then the result is that's increasing your worth, for example. Maybe there is a dynamic around the ROI giving you more autonomy and, you know, more autonomy, or maybe it's getting you to have a more coherent sense of self. And so that's what your ROI is, why you go and invest all of this money, time, energy, headspace in learning. You're getting intangible. So we want to be aware of those intangible results that we get, because essentially, if we've got a greater value on those than we do on finances, then we're gonna have a link towards this. And so I get it though. You came here and you're here at this live and you want to go, but I don't make money, Tanya. Like, how do I turn my learning into earning? And that is why you're here, and that is what we are going to cover now. So the learning earning cycle. Let me kind of explain. If we were in another career, let's just transport ourselves over into a legal career. And so then we started off as a paralegal. I'm going to go through it in Australian sense, but, you know, be different language or wording for other countries, but it's similar but different, but the same process. So we've got a law clerk, and so they've done some study and some learning, and then to be able to go and become a graduate solicitor or a lawyer, you've gone and then done a bachelor degree and you've done some further studies. And then from there, you upskill to become you go skill-wise, you've upskilled. And then also education-wise, you're also doing more education to upskill to the next level of associate, I was going to say facilitator, but solicitor. And then from there, you might get partner, so that you've showed more skills, you've continued to grow in your knowledge base, and then you're worth more, or you get paid more. Maybe then you go, if you went all the way up, you'd go from there to maybe being a judge or magistrate. I think it goes first, and then a judge, and then a Supreme Court. So, but that's because your knowledge and skills are growing, and then you're getting more job opportunities, or you're getting to be able to serve at a greater scale, or you're getting a pay rise. And so in coaching, we're not regulated. It doesn't tell us we have to go and do our CPDs or our like continual professional development. We don't get told to do that, but we have to in order to remain current or updated. And so, which is partly why I love going to say, coming into class and doing the class with what we do in Maximum Growth each and every week, is because you're continually getting upskilled every single week with the application of the Demartini method, for example, or with the application in terms of business. And so what happens is when we have a look at these like CPDs, which is your continual growth, they make us more valuable in the marketplace. And so if I was an employee, or if you were an employee in a business, or now I was a boss, or you were the boss, whatever dynamic, and then you said, okay, well, I'm going to invest in this particular individual to go and study and learn, and I'm going to pay thousands of dollars for them to go and do a course, and you get nothing in return for it. You'd be thinking, I don't know. It doesn't sound very good or wise. It doesn't sound like a wise investment to be able to not get a return on the money that you spend with them. So we also need to almost put our business caps on when it comes to our own learning, because let's say, for example, you get 30K, 40K, whatever, 20K, 10K, whatever it is for your investment of your learning for the year. And then if you don't have a financial strategy on how to turn that into earning, kind of just like spending, not investing. So what we want to do is have like a mental switch in terms of looking at the spending we do and our learning. We need to switch that into how is this an investment into what we're doing for our future, so that we can actually start to turn it into the learning into earning. So I talked about this like learning earning cycle, and this is what we want to start to think about. It's like a different mindset. So we continue to learn, and I can guarantee you majority of people like in this community and also in other communities, it is all about that dynamic in which you are like, you seek learning. Let's face it, you love it, you enjoy it, you grow from it. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to get you into a mindset is as you learn, you grow your skill set. And as you increase your skill set, you increase your earning capacity. And then once you have your earning capacity, then you can start to maybe start charging more for that because you've got a higher earning capacity. And then you grow your career. And then we do this like lifelong, and then you've got a lifelong love of learning. So you continue to learn, grow your skill set, increase your income, increase your ability to serve. And then we keep on going around. So there's this like evolutionary cycle that we have with learning that we want to actually turn our learning into earning. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to reveal to you today my number one tip that can help you to leverage your expertise so that you can actually turn your learning into earning. And I'll tell you a funny story. So years ago, and I would laugh if you are watching this and you are, hey Paul, so if you're watching this and you bought one of these from me, feel free to just like put it in the chat because it was funny. It's interesting times. So when I started Prophecy years ago, because when I do client sessions, and a lot of clients would know this of me, I type. So I'm quite a fast typer. And I enjoy typing at the same time as learning because it keeps me super present. So everyone learns differently, and that's just me. I like pitter-pattering on the keyboard. And so what happened is I did Prophecy for the first time with Dr. Demartini, and 7-day program. You're sitting in at the table, and I was like, okay, I'm typing all these notes. And then someone sitting next to me was like, wow, Tanya, you take a lot of notes. Can I buy them off you? And I was like, sure. And she's like, how much do you want? And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't lowballed the ticket, actually, $30. And then someone else is like, oh, well, can I have it too? So I was like, oh, okay. So then I ended up selling my notes for like $30. I'd maybe make, I don't know, I'd maybe say 20 in a session. Also in a course. Then the next time I came, more people heard, more people asked, so more people wanted. I didn't go out and advertise it, by the way. It wasn't something that was like written on a Facebook post. You can buy my notes for $30. And so I just ended up fine. So for a couple, I don't know, maybe it was 3 years, I did it until the one time I had I had 700 pages of notes because I put all these like articles that we're reading and information, kind of all collecting it together. And then I had a conversation and was asked not to do it anymore. And so that's fine. Lesson learned. Not always a good learning. And so, but it was figuring out ways. And yes, $30 is not going to be a big return on the investment, considering the amount it costs to go to do a program. I'm making $30 per document I'm sending out. So then I started to think, okay, so if I can do that and I'm just attracted to these opportunities of being attracted, so what happens if I go there and I have a more structured view of how do I actually go and turn my earning into learning? So how I think about it now is I think about what's the dollar cost that it costs me to go and invest. And so the dollar cost is like the cost of the course. But if we're actually having our business brains on, we would also go, the cost of, so I might travel over to Johannesburg, for example, or it might be just a course I'm doing online. And so I'd factor in travel costs and the cost of time as well that I'm away on doing that course. So if it's 3 days, 5 days, whatever it is, I'm going to factor that in as well. So it's not just the cost of the course. So it might be 10K, it might be 20K, it might be 15K, it might be more, but there's that amount. So then I think about it from that perspective and I start to think, okay, great. So now that I have that dollar amount, I've got to think about, I have to make that, but that's to break even. That's not to make a profit. So I have to think, let's say it's 10 grand. Then I go, okay, so what product, service, or idea can I offer on the back of what I'm about to learn that could be valuable and important to people? And so then I start to think about a pathway and avenue forward so someone can now learn from my earning, or someone can learn from what I learn. I can pass that on. I can earn in the process. So, for example, one time I went and I did the breakthrough experience. I loved it, got so inspired. I thought, well, what happens if I start a new program and I call it Awaken the Leader Within? And so when I was over in the UK, I had the idea to do that. I met someone, we joined in together, and we ran an event in Italy in which I was able to transport. So that money, I didn't get a return on that day, but we got people in and they came into the event a few months later and we did the event together. Well, I presented and she got the people in. So we were, I guess, business partners for a short period of time. Which is really beautiful. And so that opportunity came, but I got a return on my initial investment and then also got paid for the second time round to do that event as well. So figured out a way, and because what also happens is when we have a focus for our learning afterwards, so once you have your learning and you're like, I'm going to turn this into learning, the learning into earning, which means I'm going to fulfill on a program, a product, something for someone. We think differently, but we also take in the information very differently, because we start to think about, okay, how can I say this in a different way? How could I educate them and make it more simple? How could I, just reshare some of this information that's so important and so valuable? Or how can I put my own unique spin of this to make it mine? Or how can I bring it with what I already know and then share that out to the world? And so you start thinking about the information differently. Instead of being almost like a consumer where you're just taking in the information, you then shift to becoming a producer. Not that one is better than the other, because we want both, consuming and producing, like almost like a cycle. And so it was almost putting that hat on. And so sometimes we don't necessarily know what that product service idea will be, but we want that to be a focus. So say, for example, you go in and spend 10K on a course, then you're like, okay, within a 3-month period, my focus afterwards is going to be actually getting a return back on that investment. And so that means picking up how many clients, get a return there. So maybe 2 clients gets you at your return. You might think of selling a program and that program being worth $1,000, and then that's 10 people that you need to sell to in order to get a return. Maybe it's 1 client and you get the return straight away. So you have to start thinking about what's the best way that you can get a return on your investment. So it's just thinking, and then also putting that as a value afterwards, after you finish the program, because sometimes we finish the program and we've forgotten. We're like, we haven't gone back to the notes. We haven't done anything with it. We haven't even accessed the information again. And so it's been something we've learned, and then we put it to the side. So this actually almost like helps you to integrate the information a lot longer. And actually, especially if you're teaching it back out to other people, teaching little parts of it or teaching your version of it, it's getting you to think about the information, process it, put it into application, and teach it, which is going to get you to master the information in the first place, which is, I guess, why you're learning at the moment. So hopefully, we have had a topic of unlocking your ROI. Hopefully you have found some information inside of this that's been helpful. Love to hear how you go about getting a ROI on the courses that you're doing. So I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the community. Really appreciate you. We are going to do a download resource. So if you haven't already, do ROI here, or you look at the comment section and do an ROI. We will get that to you as fast as we possibly can. So thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you at the next perfect time. Okay, so you have 7 days to watch this, by the way. I know, or it self-destructs. So we do have it all inside of our Maximum Growth Academy. So you get lifetime access for that when you're a member, so that you can rewatch any of our in-depth questions that we have been doing inside of the community.